Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Winner Circle. Not a Football Friday Live. It's just going to be the Friday Live. Sean Higgs coming at you. New cast of characters. Chuckler crew as we got here. Matt Fargo, Scott Pritchard. We'll be talking some college basketball, college hoops, whatever else we'll talk about. I'm sure there'll be some talk for tomorrow's college basketball, Super Bowl props, whatever. We'll go where the wind takes us. We go where our rosemary goes. We'll throw in some old school lyrics there for everybody. Hit the like, subscribe, notification bell so you know when we do the live show on Fridays. And, of course, all the free pick videos during the week. Myself, Matt, Scott, Jim Feist, Chip Trimbus, Doug Upstone. We got you covered. All right? So like, subscribe, notification bell. Those are the free stuff. Premium. We are sponsored. GamblersWorld.net. We do get paid. We win a little bit, and you don't go to work and get paid for free, right? And you go to your job, and somebody pays you for the good stuff. Same with us. GamblersWorld.net, where our 3, 7, 38 packages are guaranteed. Show you a profit order time, we credit you back. Day pass is $69.99. When we have multiple packages up, comes in handy. When, 130 college basketball games tomorrow and NBA hockey, there might be multiple packages from certain cappers. You get them all for one low price. Do what you got to do. Make the smart money move. GamblersWorld.net. We got the leaderboard. See how everybody's doing. I don't know. But listen, we'll just jump right into what we're talking, fellas. The comments will eventually start rolling in, but we could just – how have you been, Scott, in a week? It's good to see him back at it. How you been? What do you got going on? I know we're going to talk Super Bowl stuff, but I love talking about it because it's just a great thing. Because me and Matt say, like, when we're on, like, little heaters, we don't talk about being hot, like, jinx ourselves. You're already locked in. So there's no real jinx to talk about what you have because you're locked in on a guaranteed profit there. One a little better than the other, but, man, nice problem to have a week before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. As you know, the first week in October after the Kansas City Chiefs went 5-0, the toughest part of their schedule behind them, instead of betting the Chiefs to win the AFC at +2, +250, +3-1, I went with an exacta at a place called Circa, the world's largest, the world's best sports book. I love them because they'll actually take a bet. Imagine that for an original thought. They'll take a bet, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on the Chiefs to beat, not the Niners, the odds-on favorite. Definitely not Dan Gamble and the Detroit Lions, but your Philadelphia Eagles, a team that wasn't even projected to win their division back in July last year. They were a small favorite once the opening weekend started. But yeah, 55-1 to net 220,000 to get back 224,000. So I started hedging last week with the Bills, and I'm coming back this week for the Super Bowl with Philly +2 reduced VIG at -09. I bet it right after the game on Sunday. So wish me luck, but either way, I'm hedging it out. Should make 80 to 110,000.
I want it to be like a nice 1-point game for you to cash KC, the Philly +2. What? I mean, really, 24-23 is right there for you.
27-26, 28-27. Listen, the team has the same interest that I have. They're not there to cover the number. They're there to win the game. And with the overtime rules, Matt and Sean, I think, if it goes overtime, I'm probably a pretty good size favorite because if you have team A that scores a touchdown, team B scores a touchdown, they're not going to give the ball back. They're going to go for 2, which ultimately means down the middle solves the riddle. See the cashier.
Man, from your lips to God's ears, that'll be fabulous if that happens. Well, I mean, I want to see a good game, but then here everybody's going to come out with their nonsense. Mahomes, he got, if it's a close game, it's Mahomes won because of the refs, right? It's all the refs won. It's a close game. They pulled it out for him. If the Eagles go, that's fine. The Eagles straight out winner. You're not gonna get that. I just know right. That's where it's gonna go if it's a close game. Look at the calls. It's the play call. Like they gave it to him. That's what I can't. That's what I'm just dreading if that happens. Like I want you to hit the big side, but it's like I don't even care. It doesn't. I'll just be annoyed at these wackos on Twitter for a week or two. I shouldn't say that, but that's that will be the outcome.
I block out the noise because that's all it is. For these clowns who say the game is rigged, the game is fixed. 2 things: 1, it's not, and number 2, why, if it was fixed, why are you betting into a fixed game? And more importantly, why would you be on the wrong side of the fix? What kind of a clown are you?
Well, we're going to talk some NBA and fixing there because I get a lot of comments in my live show like, I told you these games are fixed with the whole Terry Rozier crap. Like, one guy sitting out a game, what's happened? Like, the other guy is in jail for doing that. Like, these guys, and to put it, like, we were joking about the other day, Matt, right? We're acting a fools when we were kids. We didn't put that crap on. It wasn't recorded on a cell phone, us acting fools in high school and doing stupid-ass crap. These guys are literally breaking federal laws, sending their friends like, hey, I'm going to sit out. Don't worry about it. Like, there's a good book. It was called to Drop a Dime or something. It was like 2 people can keep a secret if 3 people can keep a secret if 2 are dead, right? Yeah, 3 people. We all know something great. You know, it's going to get out of the bag unless 2 of us aren't here. And that's the way it is. You can't put that stuff in the chat with guys and not think it's going to escape. It's not going to happen. It's like telephone. This is like 3rd grade stuff. Oh, Matt likes Lucy. Oh, what did he tell you? Oh, Matt likes Jan. And goes back and gets to Matt, and Matt's liking Matt. What are you talking about? Like, you can't put that in a group chat. And again, some guy doing rando player props. The guy's going to jail, right? He's going to go to jail.
Yeah, I mean, it happened last year with the dude from
Porter, Denver.
Yeah, Denver. Yeah. I mean, granted, like, you know, he was bare minimum salary, so I think he was, you know, hoping to make, you know, money off it, whatever. Rozier's been around for a while. He's set. You know, why jeopardize what you have with knowing you're going to get caught? You're going to get caught eventually. Like, you know, it's going to catch up to you, and. You know, the player props I get, like what Scott said about, you know, the fixes in, it's all BS, like he said. Like, and brought up a point about people crying, you know, who had Buffalo. Whoa, you know, the fixes in. Well, then why did you bet Buffalo if you think the fixes in? Because you knew it ahead of time. If that's the case, the fix has been in all year, apparently. So,
like Kansas City. Like last year, right? The fix was in. No, it's Taylor Swift. It's going to be Kansas City the whole way. Well, you should have bet it the whole way. It's fixed. Tom Brady's the Super Bowl's in Tampa. Tom Brady. He ended up winning it. I don't – and listen, they're going to bring up Donahue and this or that and stuff. I get it. You're going to have some bad apples steer things individually, but that is not the league being fixed. That's a person doing a criminal activity for themselves, not for the benefit. Like, I love, like, who's the team? Yeah, I want to be the Giants this year or the Raiders and the coach who I got to get fired this year because my team wins 3 games. Like, how is that? How's that not getting, like, who wants to be that guy in the script? I break my leg this year? Wonderful. Oh, I get Tommy John surgery and I'm out for a year and a half of baseball? Yeah, I want to be that guy in the script. Who's signing up for that? Thousands and thousands of athletes. Are you kidding me, folks? Stop with that nonsense. It's just, no, what are we going to do? We've been betting longer than these guys have been alive. These guys just found sports betting 3 years ago and they're in here. Right? I mean, like, my guy wasn't even in on a Wednesday. I'd be lucky if I could call a Wednesday at like 6:30 and somebody's answering the phone for like a random Big West game. And those were added games 20 years ago. You couldn't even bet on the Big West. Now people are halftime in-game betting on freaking Abilene Christian. Are you kidding me? What?
Abilene Christian over Red Rover yesterday over the 136. It got there at 143. Only a sharp, wise guy like Matt, Sean, and myself would actually know this, but you brought it up. And I have to tell you, when it comes to big market teams and saying that the fix is in, it's a big crock of crap. Because if that were true, and we all 3 know that it's not, the Jets and the Cowboys would be in the Super Bowl every single year. Instead of crying, whining, and complaining that you were on the wrong side because you didn't do your due diligence and you didn't beat CLV, closing line value, maybe work a little harder. I've learned the harder I work, gentlemen, the luckier I become.
Yes, that's
that is true. Absolutely true.
Weird how that works. Weird how that works. Oh man. Let's you know what? We got like 3 comments. We'll hit a couple comments and we'll get at it, and I'll jump in some games. Daryl's in the house. Good to see Daryl. Let's go. Andre, so I know he wants to get the money today. We're going to give you 3 in the NBA. Yep. Jonte Porter. Jonte Porter? Okay.
Yeah.
He was on the Raptors. But it's still nonsense. Like some guy, even if you're some scrub, what are you doing to try to make pennies? Oh, like $2,000 bets? Like, what are you doing, fella? again, you're caught now where you are. You're in jail. Hopefully somebody gets your commissary up for some honey buns and some soups or something. I don't know what to tell you. Dumb moves. Rozier, guy's been in the league for how many years? It's not fixed, folks. Not fixed. It's life. It's life. Let's speaking of life, the Spurs. Life was good. They were in France for 2 days. Wemby put on a nice little show one day. Then they got boat raced like a baguette getting burned in an oven out there. They just got crushed by the Pacers in game 2 there. The comeback east. Here we are. You're home. 3-point doggy to the Bucks. We're on game 4 of a little road trip here. 1-2 so far. With this Spurs team, I got to tell you, I got a pop coach of the year. I grabbed it this beginning of the year, obviously. I'm like, you know what? If this kid Wemby, and I joke with Wemby, I'm like, the guy's, Sean Bradley who could, shoot threes. He's a combination of a new Bull 3-shooter like Mark Eaton or something, or UA Blob. I'll make jokes. But I figured, let's be honest, he's pretty good. They brought in a point guard, veteran, help him out. Pop, I took a coach of the year, figured if they make the playoffs, he'd probably get some consideration. Well, the guy's in a nursing home or wherever he's at right now. That doesn't look good. They're a 500 squad. I don't understand. And again, 3-point dog, total of 232 here. You got a guy who's 7'4", or however the hell tall he is. I'm watching highlights of him. I'm looking at a box where he's taking 15 3-pointers. If I'm the coach, I'm like, listen, you giant idiot. Can you just go stand outside the paint? You'd score 40 a game, have 20 rebounds. Like, how are you not rebounding? How are you hanging out at the 3-point arc? Get inside. He would be a Chamberlain guy. He'd be 30, 20, and 10 blocks every single night, without a doubt. He doesn't have to be in a big. His arms are longer. He can touch my ceilings. They're 12 foot, or my walls are 12 feet apart. He can touch them like this. What are you doing hanging out outside there? Matt, this is your game. I'm going to rant about Wemby, and I don't know why he doesn't just stand inside and really just crush it. He'd be in the Hall of Fame in 5 years with the numbers he could put up, playing inside the paint as opposed to the paint in the logo that he wants to shoot from. Bucks 3, total 232. What do you think?
Yeah, could he bang down low? I don't know if he could stand down there the whole game. He's pretty frail, man. He needs to put on some weight somehow, and I think they're bringing him out, just to kind of combat the wear and tear that he could get down low. You know what I mean? And
who's banging? Who bangs bodies in the NBA now? Nobody.
But if they put him down low, they will. I think. I don't know if it's a big advantage or not. I really don't.
Oh no way! He's so tall; it wouldn't make a difference.
He plays for arguably one of the top 5 coaches of all time. Wouldn't he know that? So I don't know. Looking at the game itself, San Antonio's coming off that 2-game trip out in France, and it was an emotional win for the first game, and then they got trounced game 2, and they haven't been playing well. They're they lost 2, they lost 5 of the last 6, 8 of 10, and they failed to cover the number. I'm just not confident with this team right now. And as far as Milwaukee goes, they're not very good on the road. They're 9-12, but I think they want to end this road trip the right way. They're coming off, win over Utah 2 games back, but then they lost at Portland last game, and that's just a bad loss. So I think that just has a bitter taste in their mouth. And I think they come back strong here. Middleton should be back tonight, so they have the core guys back. I think they can cover this number against a pretty slumpy Spurs team right now. So I like Milwaukee minus the short number.
Milwaukee Bucks minus the, what do we got here? 2.5 we're showing for this game?
Yep.
For our guy, Matt Fargo here as our free pick. Again, this is Matt's free play. I talked about getting on board with a daily pass, $6.99. Matt Fargo, 1, 2, 3. He's got minimum 4 games, including a double A Mac, a month going. Get the daily pass for Matt Fargo's premium stuff and don't miss a single winner tonight. Scott, what do you think about the Bucks and Spurs?
Well, I respectfully do not have an opinion on this specific game, but again, when Matt speaks, I listen. So I hope he wins because he cashes a lot of tickets. I see him oftentimes at the cashier. I do have an opinion on the coach. I do have a strong opinion on the organization, and I've made a very good living betting against Doc Rivers for decades, and I made a very good living betting against Giannis and the overhyped, overrated Milwaukee Bucks, especially when they made one of the worst moves in the history of basketball. I wasn't very popular when I called this out. Dame, who plays Matador defense, they gave up Drew Holiday, okay, the best on-ball defender perhaps on the planet. They didn't do anything before he got there. They won an NBA championship, and then they get rid of him. Are you kidding me? For Dame, who's a half-court gunner, a Steph Curry wannabe. But let's talk about the overrated, overhyped Doc Rivers. In the history of the league, a long time, we're going on 80-plus years, and no coach in the history of the league has blown more 3-1 leads in the playoffs than Doc Rivers. And the last thing I'll say about that, Giannis should stick to maybe going to the basket instead of playing GM. He proactively got Adrian Griffin fired, shit canned. 31-13, they bring in Doc, and the guy went 18-23. Are you kidding? Not a big Bucks fan.
I mean, Doc, just what he choked with the Clippers, right? And the Sixers. They had leads in championship games or conference finals, whatever. John. I forget Giannis pulled the LeBron and wants to get rid of the coach. That's right, last year. And then he came out and he was under 500. And then it was like, well, they got to work their way into the new city. Yeah, okay, they got to work its way.
Well, never mind that, Sean. Giannis, after they were a number 1 seed, they lost to number 8 Miami, and a reporter actually asked an intelligent question, which is somewhat of an anomaly. You don't hear that every day. And they said, hey, was this season a failure because you got beat by a number 8 seed? And Giannis totally dodged the question and said, well, Michael Jordan and the Bulls didn't win the championship every year. Are you kidding me? The Bulls never took it on the chin against an 8 seed. So that was a lame argument.
Yeah, it's one thing losing early with a young team. It's another thing when you're the number 1 seed going down, you know. And listen, if it was like the Knicks Heat the one year and the strike year, I could see that. You know, teams don't play well. I mean, we saw the Marlins make the playoffs in a abbreviated baseball season. So that's a total anomaly. You guys were a 60-win squad. Terrible. Bucks -2.5 for Matt Fargo in the video. You said the guy played in Denver. That was false. Yeah, we made a mistake. Well, it's all right. You've ever heard about 3-second rule? Listen, we knew it was the Toronto guy. Eastern Michigan. That was some crazy betting the other day, but I haven't really heard much out of that one. Yes, I know the 3-second rule, big, but the dude is so big, he doesn't have to be in the paint. He could just be on the outside, the foul part of it. You know, the free throw where the guy stand. And I don't know if that part of the paint is called, but you know, he's that. He doesn't have to stand. He's not Shaq where he's taking up the whole thing. He could just stand on the side. His wingspan. What's his wingspan? Play by the basket, bro. You're 7'4". This is why the league's crap. This is why the ratings are down. This is why Silver's like, oh, we got to play 10 minutes a game now. What are you 10-minute quarters? Who wants to see a 7'4" giraffe shoot 3-pointers from 33 feet out? Really?
It's the new thing now. You know, it's 3-pointers for everyone. It's how the game has changed.
Come on, man.
And
I've heard the 3-second rule. I'm not saying this to go ahead. Hey, go ahead, Mark. Keep going, Matt.
No. I'm just saying, like, the game has changed. People see the Celtics, hoisting, I don't know how many per game, 50 sometimes. And granted, they're struggling right now, but they're the team that everybody's facing, and they see how their recipe for success has been the last couple of years, and they just pump up a lot of threes. And other teams are trying to go by that philosophy as well. And if it's right, I don't know. I don't like it. I'm a fan of the NBA back in the 80s and 90s when it was banging around, and the Detroit Pistons type teams where it's a different game now. So I think almost he's forced to come out.
It's again. You know what? I'll even concede the fact that him being that close to the basket probably wouldn't get that many rebounds because, like you said, they're going to host up 47 threes a game. They're going to be long rebounds. He doesn't have to be near the basket. He's got to be out probably outside in the 15-foot range to get those long rebounds off the rim. But
Sean, I've been listening to you go on and on about this, and I have to respectfully say I could not agree more than with what you're saying. Bottom line is, if you're 7-4, respectfully, you're doing the defense a tremendous favor if you want to jack 3-pointers. Now, he needs to post and toast, and even if he's not comfortable doing it with his back to the basket, I don't care. Bottom line is, every time you touch the paint, you open it up for a backdoor screen, a backdoor cut, or a wide open 3 for somebody, because at 7-4, he wins by showing up. I don't care if he even attempts a shot, posting and toasting. At 7-4, he's going to draw a double or a triple team. To my point, someone's open, but you have to touch the paint.
He puts the ball in the air over his hand. He lifts it up. Who's getting that? The ball's like on top of the backboard. He puts his arm in the air. It's on top of the. He can pull like pennies off the top of the backboard. The guy. I mean,
you mentioned Popovich. Popovich, I understand with wins and losses and X's and O's. My favorite coach in the NBA happens to be my least favorite coach. It's the same guy, Greg Popovich. He's the clown. He's the clown who started this load management BS with the big three, with Duncan and Parker and Ginobili back 20-some years ago, and then his little disciple, Steve Kerr, followed suit, and now these players cannot play more than 25, 28. Can you imagine you take your kid or your grandkids or great-great-great-grandkids, they save up their money the entire year to see Embiid and George play in Philadelphia. You pay $500, you go there. They're both there. They're both in street clothes, but they're resting. Are you kidding me? This league and Silver, I'm not a big fan of this guy. His big solution is what is this, the WNBA? Why not just go 8-minute quarters like they do in high school basketball? So you're just going to continue to chip or rip off the consumer? You know, you're not going to decrease the ticket prices by decreasing the length of the games, but Jordan and the Bulls and the bad boys of Detroit, it was a golden era of basketball, per Matt's point. Jordan and those guys, they played 40-plus minutes a contest. Load management is a crock. It doesn't work. Ask Kawhi Leonard. Ty Lue and the Clippers rest, and they're banged up and hurt more than anybody else on the planet.
We always go back to Bird and Magic and Jordan in the 80s, early 90s there, the Pistons, those kind of teams. But let's go to even the early 2000s. With the Lakers and Kobe, and the Kings were good, and Allen Iverson, the Sixers, like these teams, these guys played all the time. Allen Iverson was 5'10", would get housed and would still play all the time, and literally had the officials against him every single game, and still was unstoppable. And yes, Durant is 7 foot tall. He's a totally different player. And is he really 7 foot tall? I mean, Wemby just looks like an alien out there. He looks like an octopus that took human form. He's just like this big, gangly looking thing out there. Where Durant's, he's more sleek. I don't know. See, I don't consider Durant that kind of that guy though. Like, he wasn't like that in school. Like, I think you're 7'4". They're just two different people. I mean, 4 inches at 7 foot, is it a difference? Probably not. But Durant's game was. He was always a outside take it drive guy. At least he drives to the basket, Durant.
The one thing I'll say about Shaquille O'Neal, I never cared for Shaq's work ethic or lack thereof, but the dude didn't hang out at the 3-point line. He didn't settle for mid-range jumpers. He got his tail underneath the basket, and no one in the history of the world was better playing their back to the basket. He stayed in his lane. He was a man amongst boys, and he bullied you, he beat you, he abused you, and he wasn't hanging out giving the defense a break by shooting mid-range jumpers or 3-pointers. So even though I was never crazy about his work ethic, he was unbelievably good with his back to the basket inside of 10 feet.
Him and Penny, if he would have saved a penny, they probably would have won some championships out there. They were good. I mean, they lost to Akeem in the finals, but if you watch early Shaq before he got huge, I mean, he was pretty fleet of foot. Like, he was Akeem-esque. He could dribble, he had ball control, steal ball. I think he got to LA. He was just like, wow, I'm bigger than guys. And he just kept growing. He was like, oh, the bigger I get, the more unstoppable I am. I mean, really, you're that big. Those guys, no one was built for that. I mean, how many 7 foot, 350-pound people are there?
Right.
Doc Rivers has always inherited talent, but he had Anthony Hardaway on his team and still couldn't win squat. No one is a bigger no one is a bigger critic of Doc Rivers or Ty Lue or Dan Gamble of the Detroit Lions than me, but I've got a myriad of data to back up my thoughts, my opinions.
I love that. What was that? The 95 team was like Penny, Nick Anderson was the other kid who used to shoot the three back in the day. And they were a good team. They were solid. Then they brought in Horace Grant. I mean, they were right there. They were,
and then Nick Anderson bricked not one but two free throws, and they had a great opportunity. But talent, to your point, they were as good as anybody.
Yeah, I think the Durant, though, Biggie here, he's a different kind of player. I mean, just because 7'4" and the way Wemby is, in today's NBA, he would be unstoppable inside because nobody plays inside. That's my point of it.
I mean, Durant's a pure shooter. I mean, he's one of the best shooters of all time. You know, being that tall, it's a gift. You know, he doesn't have to because he's 7 feet tall. He doesn't have to bang around inside. He's just got a pure shot.
Yeah, he's rare. He's a rare guy. Yeah. I'll get to this game in a minute, Dal. This is the game I'll be doing this because the European basketball players and 3-point specials take over the game. Yeah, Europeans came over. Serenas Marciulionis. I mean, even like a little Detlef Schrempf back in the day. They were kind of like passers. They could shoot threes. They'd come in. But listen, those guys, they didn't change it. Steph Curry came in, and him and Klay Thompson started shooting 25 threes a game. People are like, oh, look at this. Threes more than two. Let's keep shooting them. And now every kid thinks of that. The freak NBA peers think they're those guys, and they're not. How many of these guys? I look at some of these rosters, I'm like, I remember this guy went to college. He was supposed to be a good freshman or blue chipper. They play for a year, and then they go sit on a bench for 3 years in the NBA. Like, I hope that since these guys get paid now, they stay for 2 or 3 years and just improve their games. Like, short of being the number one pick, like you're an 8 pick, where the hell are you going? You're going to be a bench guy on some team, right? I mean, these guys in the later rounds, short of finding a Giannis at 15 or something, most guys are role guys, or maybe they're rare that they turn into superstars. Stay in school. You're getting paid now. Stay there for 3 years. Learn how to shoot a free throw to make it better than 80% of the time, and hit a 15-foot jumper. Then come into the NBA. But now we'll just he's, they say, he's gangly. He's got range. Every team, right? They got length. They play. That's all you hear about every college team. They got length. They play defense. They can shoot the three. Really? It sounds like every middle school and high school team too. I hear. Again, my least favorite sport to bet, folks. I'm not gonna lie. And NBA this year, I'm 15-10. That's how little I like to bet the NBA. I'm not a huge lover of the NBA. It's a terrible product, but I got to talk about it. I'm gonna beat its head in. I don't care. You don't have to watch NBA. The hell with it. We got college basketball tournaments coming up in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Listen, Scott, your game's up here. It's another proud franchise, the Philadelphia 76ers. We could say the process has failed. We talked about this yesterday. We have it. It'll stream across here. I think Jim saved it from yesterday. Or Seth had it. Joel Embiid, 400 games missed. He's made $125 million in his missed games. Unbelievable. Boy, they say American Dream is dead. Imagine that. $125 million missing 400 games. They are a 9.5-point home underdog here today. Total 231 against the Denver Nuggets. 231.5 seems a little high. You're like, wow, Sixers are bad. No Embiid. George is 50-50 every single game. But you look at the Nuggets, Scott, they've dropped 3 in a row, giving up 127 points per game. That's not going to win you many games. And the Sixers somehow, without Embiid, with Maxey taking care of business and leading the team, have reeled off 4 in a row. What do you think about this Denver-Philly game? A couple years ago, it was like Embiid's better than Joker, and Joker's just averaging triple-double, probably maybe come down to SGA, but we'll be right up there in the top 3 MVP voting again. But no premier matchup here, just the Nuggets laying nearly double digits to the Sixers.
Embiid was never better than the Joker, ever. It just simply, he should have ran for politics. He was campaigning the whole year, crying and whining and complaining. And I guess he subscribed to the theory that the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Reminds me of the mailman, Karl Malone, who I liked as a player, but back in 97, he was campaigning for the MVP, even though he couldn't hold Michael Jordan's jockstrap. Michael Jordan was the MVP that year, but Michael just kind of, he did. If you have to tell someone that you're a pretty good basketball player, Michael Jordan never told anyone, hey, I'm a pretty good basketball player. And he certainly never campaigned for the MVP. Embiid, this guy is a glorified professional flopper. This guy is a grown man. Kawhi Leonard, let us not forget, boys and girls, members of the jury, Kawhi Leonard made a grown man cry. That's right, Joel Embiid with that crazy Kawhi shot. Even if he missed it, it would have went overtime and Toronto would have won as they went on to win the NBA championship. But you remember the famous video in the hallway, Embiid, a grown-ass man, elephant tears streaming down his face. How would you like to go to war with this guy? Plus, whenever he and Jokic go head-to-head, Jokic always goes to Philly and beats his tail. Yet Embiid, 4 out of 5 years, he's not going to play tonight in Denver, high altitude, thin air, because Jokic always dominated him. People lie, numbers don't. Jokic was robbed of that MVP by Embiid. And since Embiid was given it per the media, and let us not forget it's the same media that gave the Giants coach Dable coach of the year, even though they took third in their division when Sirianni and the Eagles had the best record in football. Are you kidding me? So, yeah, you got me started. But, yeah, back to the game. Oh, there is a game tonight. Good. Denver taking on Philly.
Keep going, baby. I love it.
I'll get to your question eventually. I do have an opinion on this game, and it's more the Denver Broncos. You have really smart, educated viewers and listeners, and I love the comments, good, bad, or otherwise. We all have thick skin, short memory, and broad shoulders, so bring it. And the one gentleman corrected our staff based on the fact that Porter played for Toronto, not Denver. But there is a connection. There is a connection. That is Michael Porter Jr.'s brother in Toronto. And Michael Porter Jr., I just don't understand. This guy, every single year, they talk about what a tremendous shooter he is. He plays no defense. He's just not that good of a player. The Denver Nuggets are not that. You're living in the past. 2 years ago was the time to be on Denver. I made a great living betting against them last year, and I pick my spots this year. Aaron Gordon, I love the guy, but he's a year older. He's not a year better. He doesn't even crack the starting lineup. Braun, University of Kansas product. You've got Russell Westbrook, who I actually love because he's the one guy in the league who brings energy and effort. That's the good news. The bad news is, as he gets to the basket, he bricks the layup. And would you actually pay money to watch Westbrook shoot a three-pointer? It's painful. Who does he think he is? Angel Reese? So Russell Westbrook is your starting point guard. Braun is a starter. You've got Michael Porter Jr., overrated, overhyped. Jamal Murray, who was a world beater 2 years ago. But listen, the league has evolved. We're talking about a guy who scores 20 points a game. So it's basically Jokic against the world. The team doesn't play defense. The team doesn't have a bench. And they're way down there, statistically speaking, Matt and Sean, when it comes to three-point attempts and three-point percentage. Philly, they're bad. I like their coach, but he has to be called out as well because it starts at the top. And I know Embiid runs the organization to a lesser degree. You cater to your prima donnas, and there's no bigger prima donna on the planet than Paul George, believe me. Ask the Clipper fans if you don't believe me, if you don't want to take my word for it. But the fact is, Embiid is out. Paul George is probably out. But this Philly team, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 consecutive wins at home now. They're going to have to lose by double digits. How do these sports books stay open? Give me the home team double-digit dog, Sixers. See the cashier.
Sixers, it's 9.5. Still close enough to the 10. They should stick around here. Official pick from Scott Pritchard. He's got a 3-pack up tonight. Go get Scott's 3-pack of action at gamblersworld.net. You don't want to miss out I'm sure. It should come with a voice analysis with your little picks. You could come in and with, as you hit your overrated nonsense. I love that. That's great. Philly plus 9.5 for Scott. Matt, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, I'm in agreement. The line's just too big. I don't tend to look at matchups in the NBA too much because it's when you look at one team, it's a lot of it based on emotion, a lot of it's based on situational aspects of it. So I don't really tend to look at matchups that much. As far as Denver, Scott mentioned the offense isn't great. They're still number 4 in the league in offensive efficiency, so they're pretty decent. But like he did say, they don't play defense. Now this is a game where if this line was shorter, I might be looking at the Denver side because they have lost 3 straight and haven't covered any of those games, obviously. And, Philly's on a little bit of a roll right now. So, George is out. He's been out for the last 2 games. They still were able to win. And looking at, they do have a look-ahead game against Boston for tomorrow, which is maybe a little bit of concern. But, I think they're confident right now. And, they're coming off a horrible loss at Denver. I believe it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I want to say 30 points, roughly. So there's a revenge factor as well. So a number this big, I think it's too big of an adjustment. I have this number without taking injuries into consideration at 3. So it's too big of an adjustment for what Philly will not have on the court, but they've done pretty good without it so far. So I think Philly is in good position to cover the number, and outright win is not out of the question.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I thought if it was around 5 or 6, I would definitely love Philly even more because I think the thought process is that it's Denver. They've lost 2 in a row, and they'll beat the Sixers because they're missing guys, right? That's what everybody – I mean, come on, it's 9.5, which is you're missing your best players. You're missing some depth. It is what it is. But, yeah, it's Philly or nothing, and money line definitely think worth a shot here. I mean, teams lose 4 in a row, folks. It happens. Don't think it doesn't. Philly's won 4 in a row. These guys lost 3 in a row. It could easily go to 5 and 4. So take the points. We all agree with that. It'd be a universal probably play there on the Sixers plus the points. Before I get to my Warriors and Suns and Warriors, our guy Biggie here was like, my analysis of Wemby is more Durant than Shaq, which you're probably right because he likes to shoot the ball more. But he could be more. Here's my thing of that. He could be more Shaq if he played inside. And I'm not saying body-wise, but just his overall talent that exceeds who's the next closest guy to him. Like Shaq's pure talent was that he was just bigger and stronger than everybody. Wemby is just a giant who how are you blocking his shot? How are you blocking that shot? Anybody jumps in the air and he's going over to dunk him, that's a foul on the other guy. It's a win-win for him. That's my point of that, Big Black. I'm just thinking you're inside, they're going to have to foul you. You're so big. They're trying to get the ball. You're getting hit in the face. You're 7'4". The guy jumps. You're getting hit in the face no matter what they do. You're on the foul line. That's it. I can't with the monster threes. I mean, really, that's all he could probably dunk from the 3-point line. I mean, he's shooting that far away. It's probably a foul shot. Stop Geo likes a little player prop here. Kawhi alternate assists is over 4.5 plus 7-1. 7-1 for that. He's a minimum of 5 potential assists in every game. Minutes taken up should say 30 minutes. Books are slow to adjust on his Kawhi. All right. I think you had the lighter prop he mentioned in my show. He's like, it was a 3.5, 4.5, 5 and 6. It starts at like plus 125. So you hit the 3 and a 4, and I think you're at like plus 405 just on those 2 alone because they're plus money for him just to get 4 assists. NBA Developmental League. It's been around for a decade. How well has that worked out? Almost as well as NFL Euro. It's terrible. And you think this would help, right? This is a good thing. Like, gets the kids, they play 1 year, they want to go pro. Let's get you in. You're out of the house. You're on your own. Like an adult, you have to be able to feed yourself. And then they get to the court. It's still just a hot mess. I mean, the developmental league, let's look at the Nets. The Brooklyn Nets are a developmental league team. I mean, it's a G League squad. It's terrible. What else we got here? We got Gio coming in. Devin Booker, PRA, 27.5 for the Suns. Cashes 8 of his last 10 games. More about Bill coming off the bench. Yeah, there's another guy. There's another guy who's never seen 60 games in his life. Bradley Beal is the big three here. The Suns. Where are they going? Down the drain. Them, Lakers, Clippers, Warriors. The old guard is out. It is OKC and Minnesota, I think, will be taking over the West. Here's one for tomorrow.
Minnesota, Anthony Edwards, the guy that's fallen in love with the three-point line. Anybody but Minnesota. The guy's a complete fraud, terrible leader, lazy, doesn't go to the basket. 22 years old. Last year he said, I was tired. You're 22 years old and you're hanging out at the three-point line. That trade, great for the Knicks, terrible for Minnesota. Cat was the leader of that team. Anthony Edwards is not a leader, and this Minnesota T-Wolves team is a complete fraud. I've been saying it for the past 6 months.
I agree with that. I agree. Minnesota is a fraud. I totally agree with that. And if you want to talk about next up-and-coming teams, look at Houston, man. This team is legit. Man, like they play defense, and I mean, their coach is the former Celtics coach, obviously, and it took about 1 year to completely turn this team around. They're playing amazing right now. So, yeah, if you're looking at up-and-coming teams in the West, OKC, hands down. Teams like Minnesota, Dallas, I'm not sold. Lakers are old. Denver, who knows what you're going to get. Memphis, they're banged up all the time. So, I think it's OKC, Houston. I mean, even though they're 1-2 right now, so it's kind of obvious, but I think they're going to be at the finish line at the end. I don't see Minnesota hanging.
I'm leaning on the Minnesota more. I was high on them last year. This year they've been so-so with the trade. But their last few games, I mean, they've won 5 in a row. I don't know if they've turned the corner a little bit here. Now,
I mean, their roster is amazing. They're one of the best in the NBA. Like the starting five. It's a great roster.
Even with the losses, they lost to the Warriors by 1. All right. I mean, the Warriors, Curry might come in and have a good game or something. You won at the Knicks by 17. You lost to Cleveland by 7. No shame there. Cleveland's been excellent all year. You lost to Memphis by 2 on the road, who's, if they're good, when they're all on the floor, that's not a bad team. You beat the Mavericks. Again, it's Kyrie and Luka, and again, those guys, you never know who you got there. You beat Denver by 30. The Hawks went on the road and beat the Suns. Nice win there. You beat up on Utah. A mixed bag of, you got some Utah in there, but you have better teams. So if they're putting their stuff together and they're finding a way to gel, and I think they'll be a good team. That's my thought of it. That's why I just brought them into this, because they've won 5 in a row, and all right, maybe they find their way. They made their trades, guys were annoyed, and now here they're again, 5 in a row. They're doing something right now. So
Mike Conley is your starting point guard. The guy is an antique. All right, Gobert is a complete bust offensively. It starts and stops with Anthony Edwards, and he's not a leader. He doesn't. If he would go to, can we stop with the Baby Jordan comparisons? I just was flipping out last year when everyone was talking about this a year ago. The guy has God-given ability and talent. It's like he has a multi-million-dollar talent body, but a 5-cent mind, because he does not go to the basket, but maybe 3 or 4 times the entire game. You saw it in the playoffs. He's hanging out. He's hunched over at midcourt because he's tired. Why are you tired? You don't even go to the basket. This guy, I'm telling you, he fell in love. He fell in love with the three-point line, which, again, you're doing the defense a tremendous favor. I'm not sold on this team. The Dallas Mavericks, they've been banged up, but this team could surprise. They went on the road last year to get to the NBA Finals. Lively's in the starting lineup, but he's out till April 2nd. Gafford, their big PJ Washington. If you have Irving and Doncic, their starting 5 is as good as anybody's. But I love what Matt said about the Houston Rockets. Love their coach, defensive-minded. They are top 2 rebounding. And as Pat Riley, who knows something about winning championships, no rebounds equals no rings. The Houston Rockets have beaten the Memphis Grizzlies. That team is stacked. Okay, I'm not sold on their coach, Jenkins, but that team is stacked. But Houston has beaten them 3 out of 4, and the one game they lost was on the road without Seguin, their stud center from Australia. The entire team has bought in. The only question I have about Houston is they're not tested come playoff time. So it's OKC and everybody else in the West. It's OKC to win the West, and don't be surprised if they win it all. especially once Holmgren comes back and Hartenstein they added. I'm a big OKC guy. This team has been the last 3 years in the top 3 ATS against the spread. They are a cash cow. They've
been right there, and now it's like the time you got to get to the finals this year, whether they win it or not. But the times, it looks like it's one of those things where they take that step. They get past who's ever, whether it's Denver or Dallas, whatever the team they got to beat. I mean, Houston perhaps, but they're there to be good for the next couple of years at least. You know,
My sleeper team in the West is definitely Memphis. They have the talent. Yeah. But again, the one thing they don't understand is ball security. They had 26 turnovers as they lost by 37 points against the New York Knickerbockers. 26 turnovers, and they don't seem to understand. Here's a niche. I like betting the Memphis Grizzlies when Ja Morant doesn't play because the market overreacts. Ja Morant, he is the most overhyped, overrated, sensational highlight reel player that is so inefficient. The guy is a turnover machine. So the market overreacts when he's out. But the fact is, this team is so deep, so talented. And I love Bane as the point guard. Mm-hmm. And Pippen Jr., this guy, initially I made a mistake thinking, he's only in the league because of who his dad was. But no, Pippen can flat out play, man, both ends of the floor. Very impressed with this Memphis team. They are a dark horse.
I had Memphis yesterday, I think -5. I'm like, you know what? They're home. You lose, you give up 146. You're going to come and play better. And, of course, they did not.
Money line, winner, steak and lobster dinner.
Yeah, I was on Memphis as well. I mean, with like what Scotty just said about Morant being out, I think he gets some value there. And I don't want to say they're just as good with him out, but they're fine. And part of the play was going against Houston. Houston, like I said, has been red hot. They have to have an emotional letdown at some point. Man, they beat Cleveland twice. They won at Boston. They beat Atlanta.
They beat OKC.
And prior to that, yeah. So, I mean, they've been on a roll. And thinking that this team has to come back down to earth for one game. But they played great again last night. Memphis snuck out the win last second.
Scott, I don't like laying like 140 money lines in baseball. I get too cute and start doing like run lines or no bottom lines. There's no way I'm going to lay like a 5 or 6 money line point there. No way. Like 240.
I'll do it all day, every day, especially if I'm laying 2-1 and it closes 240. And ask any sports book, hey, at CLV, hey, will you honor this bet that I bet last night at -$2? And they're going to say hell to the no. It's 245. So that's irrelevant. Value is value is value. If you're beating closing line value, I love having my interest the same. The team, Memphis could win. The line closed 4. They could win by 3, and they're going to celebrate and pop champagne, and I lose my bet. But their interest is my interest, and I don't mind laying $1.80, $1.90 if it closes -210, and I'm getting 20, 30 cents the best of it. I'll do it all day, every day, and I've been doing it for decades, my friend.
I know. I can't swallow those. That's tough for me. I take the losses the other side, or I get fancy and do run lines in baseball. You know what it is? Because when they lose, I'm like, now I got to win two and a half games, or 2 games just to get even, to get up a little bit. I don't know. I'm trying. I'm trying to get into like the 145 range. I'm trying.
Again, only lay $1.45 if it's going to close 175. I mean, I'll do that all day, every day, and sports books hate you for it. It's one of the reasons why I'm limited, why 30% of the time they flat out reject my bets. Just the other night, 2 nights ago, and this is so freaking annoying, I bet the Phoenix Suns game over 223. I bet it just for my token limit dime. They put it in the system. They keep me up there. They say, oh, the line moved to 223.5. I said, well, obviously I'm not going to play it. But then I got thinking, listen, there's such great value on the over, Red Rover. I played over 223.5. They kept me up there. They have it on the screen at 223.5. They said, nope, we're moving it to 225. And of course, I couldn't bet it, and it falls 231. That's the kind of crap I'm talking about. So if you're laying over 223 and it closes 225, obviously you're doing something right, and sports books do not like you. Don't ask me how I know.
Yeah, I mean, how bad is that? Closes at 231, and you're like, it's already moved.
No, it fell 231, so it was a winner, but I didn't bet it because they wouldn't let me bet it. And that's the kind of stuff that drives you nuts. My biggest challenge is actually getting down. Just let me bet. It's okay if you want to limit me, but let me bet. But don't be playing those kind of circus games. It's annoying.
Yeah. The old
and it's unethical. It's flat out unethical.
No. Oh, yeah, it's in the queue. Yeah, it's in the queue.
If you wanted to bet under 223, whatever you want. But as an advantage player, sharp player that sees and recognizes value, and I was willing to compromise it by a half point, which I never do because I don't want to get into that habit. But still, I'm thinking, to your point, Sean, 223.5 is cheap because it's going to close higher. And sure enough, it did. 225, a couple places had 226, and it fell 231. So it was a winner steak and lobster dinner. But I didn't bet it. I couldn't bet it. They're not letting me bet it.
Yeesh. This game here, Duke Carolina, is 13.5, John, by the way. And Carolina,
I have it at 15. So right around there.
15. Okay, is that your number 15? Or are you seeing 15?
Well, that's what I have, and that's actually what the early Ken Palm numbers are.
So Carolina on the road, you saw them. They lost to Pitt. I mean, Wake, they're not good on the road. Wow. I mean, is this the game they're going to show up because it's Duke? Hey, we're going to show up this game. You haven't shown up on the road at all this year. You got 9 losses. I can't bet on them. We say, hope in one hand, poop in the other. Which one's going to fill up first? We're hoping for Carolina to have a good game. I mean, I don't want to lay 13, 14, 15 points, but I'm not looking to bet Carolina either. I mean, what do you, Matt? Would you be betting plus 15 or 14 or whatever it is?
I'm not touching. I see DraftKings says 13.5. You're right. I'm not touching Carolina. No way. No. This team is no.
Do you have a thought on this one?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. What would you think of this one?
Actually, I do have an opinion, and that is to run, Forrest, run from this game. We're talking about a high-profile game. The number, for all intent and purpose, is probably pretty sharp. No play.
Yes. And we say this a lot here during, like, when it comes to tournament times, even NFL, right? NFL, the lines are the sharpest because there's the least amount of games. It's got the most eyes. Duke, North Carolina, this might as well be Kentucky, Kansas. You get to the marquee teams, top 10 teams playing, that number is going to be little margin for error. It's just the way it is. Just the way it is.
Yep.
Leg show. I love it. Hello, glue sniffers. Yes. Window lickers as well. We love you all. I know whose legs those are, by the way. Leg show told me whose legs those are. I've actually met that person, believe it or not. It's fabulous. Good to see you, Leg show. Can we talk more Disney on Ice? Predators money line. There's 4 hockey games today. Really, Ninja? I can't do ice. No, thank you. Bucks team total over 118. Well, I think Scott Stock Rivers rant is right up there with my hate of the NBA. So he's probably thinking they score 106 points or something. Does it? Not good for Matt's bet here with the minus 2.5. Well, who knows? The Spurs don't have to score. He can still hit that for him. Good luck for Gio. Justin Tucker to the Brown. I don't even know who that is. Who's that?
Tucker, I think we're talking about Justin Tucker, the Baltimore Raven kicker, who's automatic. Had somewhat of a down year for him.
I get it. Yeah, the masseuse thing. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. A play on words. That's pretty clever.
I am Justin Tucker. I'm like, Justin Tucker. I love it. Anthony Edwards is the fraud. Ninja endearing himself to Scott Pritchard. The Kawhi assist is 125 last night. Now it's minus 140. Well, you got a good number on it.
Well, actually, I wanted to comment on that earlier because this guy's pretty sharp for recognizing that because Kawhi Leonard, his minutes have increased, and he is one of the absolute best when he's healthy. Now, that's a crazy statement because he's never healthy, but the fact that they keep nudging his minutes up, I have to call out these reporters occasionally. In his last game, Kawhi had 27 points, and the reporter, she made the mistake of saying, you had a career high. And he corrected her. He said, no, it was a game high. 27 points, Kawhi Leonard's career high. And I remember 2 years ago during Jokic, his MVP run, the reporter said, this is the first time I've ever seen you play. Are you kidding me? Lady, where have you been? He's the best player on the planet.
Oh, my God. what do you say to this? They get, they assign people, they don't know the game, and that's why you get these ridiculous questions sometimes. And Gio is a guy, he'll come into the chats, he likes his little assists. He's a little parlay guy. He'll do 2-teamers for like plus 105 kind of stuff. I'm not a big parlay guy, but he doesn't get carried away. Like a lot of the parlay crew would come in with like 7-team money liners. This guy's a straight kind of two-team kind of guy. Short odds there. But he's pretty good with his little props. Dallas says, you might be right about the Timberwolves. He plays the same talent potential profile like De'Aaron Fox. Any comparisons for you on that one, Scott?
Yeah, as far as, Fox, I guess he's a pretty important guy. He got a great coach, Mike Brown, fired and shit-canned. Mike Brown, coach of the year, they gave him an extension, but because he called out Fox, first of all, the Kings in that game, they were up 3 with seconds to go, and Fox fouls a 3-point shooter. He nails the 3, goes to the free throw line for a 4-point play, and Mike Brown, imagine the audacity of a head coach to call out a player. You don't close out on a 3-point shooter when we're up 3, and the last thing you do is you foul him. So Fox, his feelings were hurt, and they fired Mike Brown. So Fox, I'm not a big fan.
Yep, it was totally him. It was totally him. You're right. Yep, like the fact that Brown was fired, like it was shocking to me that they got let go.
Yeah,
they were in, they were in an early season slump. I get it, but at the same time, it's like what one of the better coaches, like you said, and granted they haven't played well since, but yeah, I
think part of the reason
as well.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt there, Matt, but I think one of the reasons the Kings have been down this year, and I like the guy personally, but he's kind of been a player cancer everywhere he's gone. I'm talking about DeMar DeRozan. This team, they were on their way up and away. They signed him during the offseason. He's a mid-range shooter, not a 3-point shooter, plays no defense, not an assist guy. He's a turnover machine, but all he did by coming to the Kings, he's the problem. But you can't fire the player, so you fire the coach. But DeMar DeRozan has done nothing but clog up the middle for the pick and roll for Fox and Sabonis. So I think DeRozan, unfortunately, he was the problem in Toronto. He was the problem in San Antonio. He was the problem in Chicago. Who does he think he is, Jimmy Butler?
Oh, Jimmy Butler. Sabonis. I mean, his old man, we saw the tail end of his old man play. He was pretty solid. But this guy's
Portland Trailblazers. He was part of that big choke job thanks to Tim Donaghy and company, blowing a 13-point lead in Game 7 against the Lakers with Kobe and Shaq. But Steve Smith and Rasheed Wallace, they took the apple, no doubt about it. Forget the refs. It was totally on them. How do you blow a double-digit 13-point lead? You were the better team. You were down 3-1 to the Lakers, and they choked it away. Although Tim Donaghy said in his 2 movies and in his 2 books that there were 2 games. And I've never said that anything is fixed. But 2003, when the Sacramento Kings in Game 6 against the Lakers, I remember thinking I had 7-1 on the Kings to win the West. And I'm thinking, man, if ever a game was fixed, this would be the one. And Donaghy said years later that Dick Bavetta and company, they were on the take, only to be followed up with Game 7, Lakers, Portland, same thing. So welcome to my world.
Michael Jordan disowns Anthony Edwards as a son. Yeah, I mean, seriously. Can we stop with anybody's Jordan? Nobody is. No one's even coming close. It ain't happening. Not going to happen. Stop asking. They need a backup center to help Seguin, says Darryl. Morant and the coach are bumping heads of late.
They should. Ja Morant is upset with the new offense, but you know what? That's on Morant. You need to evolve and you need to stop turning the ball over. People lie, numbers don't. Memphis, they are number 1 in all of basketball, 124 points a game. So maybe Ja should look within. And when I talk about, I'm not saying bet against Memphis when Ja is out. I'm saying bet against Memphis when Ja is out because the market overvalues that and there's value in. And I think last night they only had like maybe 11 turnovers, or at last check, or the game before they only had 11 turnovers when he didn't play. So again, Ja Morant, flashy, exciting. I'm just not a big fan in terms of efficiency. I would rather I don't care if you do a 360 and you slam dunk the ball. You can also just lay it in. It's the same point value, 2 points. Now get back and play some defense.
All right. Free pick so far. Philly plus 9.5 for Scott. Matt's on the Bucks minus 2.5. I'm going to hit my game. You know what? We got a couple comments, and then I'll hit my game because we got Nick Nasty's in the house. Cello. Thoughts on the Celtics? I like New Orleans here in the points. The Celtics have been not ATS world beaters, 19 and 28. They kind of play down, but they're also inflated as the defending champ. And New Orleans,
and sorry to interrupt. To add to that, they're coming up a 22-point win over Chicago. There are 119-1 this year when coming off a double-digit win against a number. So yeah, the consistency has not been there for Boston. Coming off a win, they're like 9-25, but coming off a double-digit win, they've covered one game in their following game. So,
and the Pellies have dropped 4 in a row after winning 4 in a row, so it's a prime spot for them. Everybody's gonna bet. This is like the Denver game, I think. It's kind of like the Denver Sixer game. I look at it as the same kind of way. Scott, what do you think?
Well, the problem with the Celtics, to Matt's point, I mean, it's really hard. You know, you win an NBA championship, everyone's gunning for you. It's tough. I think the last 6 years we've had 6 different NBA champions. It's called parity. So when I look at the Celtics, they have as much talent as anyone, but here's the problem. They're not going to be seeded 1. So what does that mean in English? I'm glad you asked. What it means is they're going to have to beat the Knicks and the Cavs, the latter of which will be on the road. So having a number 1 seed is critically important, unless you're the Milwaukee Bucks and you're playing an 8 seed Miami Heat. But Cleveland's going to be seeded 1. Boston's probably going to be seeded 2. Boston is kind of like Dallas in the East, in the West. Boston, I think they're cocky enough and arrogant enough, and they are proven that they think they can go anywhere and win, but it's a dangerous mindset to have. Same way with the Mavs, even though they've been banged up. I think based on the fact that they were a 5 seed a year ago and went to the NBA Finals, I think they think, and they're wrong, I think they can just turn it on come playoff time. But Lively, he's out till April 2nd. Doncic is going to be back probably, my guess is right after the All-Star break. But they're starting 5, man. That's the team I wouldn't want to have to play in the West is the Dallas Mavericks. But you can always get value with Dallas because they're going to have to win 1, 2, 3 rounds of the playoffs on the road before they even get to the finals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Luka injury is actually beneficial because last year, man, at the end of the year last year, he was cooked. He was so tight. You could just see he couldn't get up down the floor. So the fact he's missing all these games come end of the season, come playoff time, he'll be fresh. I think it's gonna be a benefit for Dallas. You know what I mean?
Again, on the road, you'll be getting them. At least they'll be dogs most of the time. So good spot to bet them. John agrees with you. Run away from Duke Carolina, not worth it. Pennsylvania money line over the Browns. What are we talking about here, Ninja? Penn over Cleveland over the Brown of Ivy League.
I make Penn. I make Penn a favorite against the Cleveland Browns.
He wants Ivy League. Penn was a +1 dog last night. Now they're -1.5 today. No interest in this one, India, for me. I got one game up on GamblersWorld.net, and it's not in the Ivy League tonight. But let's get back because we're over an hour and we didn't finish up. So we'll get into the Suns, Golden State Warriors. Another squad of lowliness here of teams hitting the sunset. The Suns, a 1-point underdog here. 228 is the total against the Warriors. Curry looks to be back in this one here. They've played already twice. They split here with Durant and the Suns, and the Warriors 1-1. I mentioned Minnesota because I liked them the other day there against. We did the show here. I said I like Minnesota in this spot against the Suns. I just think they're playing better. And sure enough, they came in, took care of business. Now the Suns are on the road here against a Warrior team. Again, Draymond's been out, whatever. Kuminga's been out. Curry's up and down. They're 5-5 last 10. They're a 500 team for good reason. This is not the world champion team they were. I mean, we're going on almost 10 years now, folks, from that run. We're pretty far out from that great run they had. I think we're 7 years away from that. When was that? When's the last title? Was that 18? Long time ago. A lot of mileage, a lot of people not there. This is not the same team. I'll lean towards the Suns, but for all video purposes here, I'm going to go under the 228. I look at the scores of these guys, what they put up. I think this is going to be like a 110, 108 kind of game. I think kind of close. Someone will win late. Someone will be up like 15, and then there'll be a little run. It'll be 86, 90 to 86 going into the fourth quarter. You get your usual nonsense here. Give me the under 228 between the Suns and the Warriors. Get the rest home ready for Green and Curry and Beal needs the wheelchair, and KD's at the tail ends here. He's got another maybe 2 years left. A lot of old guys. This is the old guard. Enjoy it. We saw some good players. The new guys, though, are OKC and Houston and Mr. Edwards, who Scott loves, and these guys coming in. Under 228 is my official show pick here. Scott Pritchard, you got anything on this one?
Well, I've got an opinion, and, the Warriors, to your point, Sean, they're a 500 team, but let us not forget they started out 12-3, and I knew it wasn't sustainable because Kerr, this guy, should stick to coaching and leave his political views at the door. No one tunes in, Popovich and Kerr, to listen to your political views, and I don't care what side of the spectrum you're on. I watch sports to make money and to have some entertainment value. If I want political satire, I'll watch Fox News or CNN. Thank you very much. But 12-3 is how they started, and he went with the 12-man rotation. Not sustainable. But his ego says, I'm going to reinvent the wheel. This coming from the Olympic coach who said it's tough to get 10 guys into a game, as he benched and embarrassed and stuck it to NBA champion Jason Tatum. Well, Tatum and the Celtics got the last laugh when they went in to San Francisco and left their heart and kicked their ass. That's called payback. Not a big Golden State fan. I know I tend to keep my thoughts to myself, but I think you picked up on the vibe.
I hate Golden State. They ruined basketball. They've ruined basketball with their crappy three-point shooting. I shouldn't say they're crappy because those guys could shoot. And I feel bad Clay's never the same since he got hurt. But this is not the team. I mean, really, look at this. Look at this squad. Who the hell are these guys? I mean, Buddy Hield. I can't believe Buddy Hield's been in the league for 10 years. I remember betting on him in college. He's another one of those guys. I talked about. We brought up the G League Developmental League. This guy in college is thinking, "Oh, Buddy Hield, this guy's going to be great in the NBA. 11 points a game."
Yeah, he hasn't had 20 points since college.
I mean, Kevin Looney. Look at this roster. Matt Fargo, what are your thoughts on the Suns and Warriors?
I have no opinion on this game whatsoever. It's two just aging teams that you don't know who's going to show up. I really don't know. Phoenix was in a smash spot the other night against Minnesota. It was a huge revenge spot. It was their first home game against Minnesota since getting swept by the T-Wolves in the playoffs last year. And they came up small, So now they hit the road. I don't know if I can trust Golden State at home. Like Scott said, they start off 12-3, and they're barely above 500 right now. So injuries obviously played a role. Kuminga's still out, but I guess I can lean to your under. But I have no starter opinion on this game whatsoever.
Yeah, it's a short line, sidewise, it is what it is. All right, we're going to wrap this puppy up with a little bow here. Covered a lot. You heard my little rant on Wemby. Me and Scott, we should host an afternoon show like Mike and the Mad Dog. It would be insanity with our takes. No. My goodness. We can't do a show together. We'll never leave. Poor Matt's today is going to be like, man, why did they even come in, these guys?
You never have to worry. You never have to worry what we're thinking. We're going to tell you.
Oh, man. All right. Listen, we are 23-23 with the NBA free picks. It's not good. We try to win them. We do. It's sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. Whether they're free plays or premium plays. You want our best plays and that stuff. We're just going to ramble on about Steph Curry not being the same and whoever we're going to make fun of today. Head to gamblersworld.net and get on board for our premium action. Matt Fargo got a nice array of packages up, as always, on a Friday. Go get a $69.99 day pass, a 3-pack up from our guy, Scott Pritchard. I have a college hoops winner up for you. I'm doing pretty good in college basketball. Like I said, 15-10 NBA, but college basketball, 224 and 170 or 140 or something like that. I don't know. College basketball. That's where I like to make my money. Your free plays. Suns under 228. Philly plus 9.5. Milwaukee minus 2.5. And that's a wrap for a Friday. Gentlemen, good seeing you. I'll see you guys next week. Good luck,
Thank you.
everybody.
Good luck, everyone.